Today we're going to talk about sigma notation. So you might know the Greek letter sigma. What that basically means is that we're going to do a summation. So if I write some sigma notation, it looks like this, and I say, all right, I equals 1 up to 6 with an I out here. What this means is the first value of I is going to be 1, and the last value of I is going to be 6. So I is going to be 1, then it's going to be 2, 3, 4, 5, and eventually 6. And right out here is what we're actually going to do. And so it just simply says I. So first I is 1. And then the next I is 2. Because this is a summation, I'm going to add the next number. And then I'm going to add the next number. And I'm going to do a 4 and a 5 and a 6. And we can add it up. It'd be 3, 6, 10, 15. That'd come out to be 21. Now, when I do a sigma notation, it does not have to start with 1. We could say I equals 0, and let's just go to 3 this time. And let's say again, it's just I. And so in this case, the first I would be 0, and then the next I would be 1, and the next I would be 2, and the next I would be 3. And again, sigma means summing, so I'm just adding all this up, and this guy is 6. Now, we can do sigma notation in all sorts of ways. First off, it doesn't have to be the letter I. We could say, hey, I'm going to use K. And in this case here, I'm going to say our first value is K equals 3, and our last one is going to be 7. And the summation this time I'm going to do is a little more complicated. I'm going to say it's a K plus 2. Okay, so my first K is going to be 3. And so my first value is 3 plus 2. And my next K is going to be 4, and I'm going to stick a 4 in here, and I'm going to have a 4 plus 2. And then my next K is 5, so I have 5 plus 2. My next K is 6, so I have 6 plus 2. And my last K is a 7, so I'm going to do a 7 plus 2. And you can add that up. I'm not going to take the time to do that. So these sigma notations are just a way to kind of shorthand write what we're all going to do. So let's do another one that sometimes throws people off. Let's say the sigma notation says, I'll stick with K. K equals 1, and we'll stop at 5. And what we're being told to do, in this case, it was I, and then K plus 2. But this one just says 3. So when K is 1, this thing doesn't say that I have to do anything with K. So I'm not going to do anything with K, but the first value is 3. And then when K is 2, the next value is just 3. And when K is 3, the output is still 3. And when K is 4, the output is still 3. And when K is 5, the output is still 3. And in this case, I ended up with 15 being my answer. So all this sigma notation is just a way to write a bunch of sums that are being put together. Now, you might also encounter a problem that looks like this. Maybe the sigma notation says, I'll go back to I equals 1, and maybe we'll go to 3 this time. And the actual problem says the answer is I times delta x. Well, when I is 1, I'd have 1 times delta x. When I is 2, I would have 2 times delta x. When I is 3, I would have 3 times delta x. Looks like this guy just ends up being a 6 delta x. Or you might get a problem like this, and they're going to go the opposite way, and it says, hey, use sigma notation to write the sum. So for example, let's say we see this. We see that the sum is actually 9 over 1 plus 1 plus 9 over 1 plus 2 plus 9 over 1 plus 3 plus 9 over 1 plus 4 plus 9 over 1 plus 5. And I'm being asked to write, what the heck is this? Well, the first thing I'm noticing is the nines are continuous and this 1 is continuous, but the number that I keep seeing change is this guy right here. It went from 1 to 3 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. So I think the correct sigma notation for this guy, and I tell you what, I'm just going to use K. K goes from 1 to 5. And I decided that because it starts right here at 1 and ends up at 5. And I think what the summation is, we always use the number 9, and we all go 1 plus K. I got a triangle there, and I don't know how I got that. Let's see if I can get rid of that. Okay, there we go. So it's 9 over 1 plus k. When k is 1, it would be 9 over 1 plus 1, and that's what I'm seeing right here. When k is 2, it'd be 9 over 1 plus 2, and that's what I'm seeing here. And that sequence goes all the way up to where k is equal to 5. So in this case here, I just went backwards. I had the I had what the summation was, and I actually had to write the sigma notation. Now, the other thing that you can actually do is on WebAssign, I've given you guys a few problems that are a little too tough. I mean, you can do all the math, but it would just be painful to do. So on those, I would pull out my calculator. So I'm going to show you real quick, if you were doing a summation on your calculator, how you would do that. So if you go to the math button right here, you'll notice you have a lot of options, and I'm just going to scroll down through them. But option number 10 is a summation, okay? And that's actually what I want to do. And when you do that, you get a nice little summation here. And you can see right now it's flashing and saying, hey, what alphanumeric would you like to do? What the heck? I'm going to pick W, I think. Oh, I picked Q. All right, and let's say my problem said, hey, Q goes from 2. I'm going to hit enter. I think that'll take me. Let's try this again. Math. It's a little harder for me, guys, to use this. I'm on a computer calculator as opposed to my actual calculator. All right, we're using P. P is equal to 2. And let's see, how do I get up to the other? There we go. I used the arrow key, and that brought me up. It was 2 to 7. And the actual, I'm going to hit the over arrow again. And my actual problem was P. Oh, where is, oh, I need to use the alpha. P times P minus, sorry guys, alpha P minus, there we go, 5, all right. And guys, the real danger when you're using your calculator, I found, is these brackets here, these parentheses. You really want to make sure your summation is all inside there. So suppose for a moment this was P minus 5 squared. Okay, you definitely want to make sure that you put some extra parentheses in here. And so I'm going to put in some parentheses. So I said it was P minus 5, close parentheses, and squared. Okay, you definitely, whatever brackets they give you in the summation, you want everything to be inside there. If you put something outside here, you're going to get a wrong answer. And if I say enter, that apparently comes up to 19. So your calculator can do these summations for you as well. So in the beginning, some of them are real easy. Just do them in your head practically. Some of the later ones get hard enough, you might want to actually use a utility to solve them and stuff. All right, gentlemen, remember I am on Teams right now, and if you are having some problems, I would be happy to help you out.